Well, hey there. Today it's just you and me. And I want to focus on a very important thing that a lot of people don't think about that will really help your sales process go that much smoother. If you remember my conversation with Darlene Prade, we talked about process and how it was so important to have talking points, to have at least a flow so you didn't kind of come off rambling like I do sometimes on this show. And to be a little bit better organized so you go into it and you can give 100% of your attention and authenticity to your prospects that are on the phone or on a Zoom call with you. I'm going to give you 3 things you can do, and 2 of them are tactical with your website, which is still a really big part of your sales process. And then the third one is more about the actual sales conversation. Let's go ahead and dive in, and we'll also give you 3 prompts, one for each, because sometimes when I have guests, I don't really give you a prompt, and I'm a big prompt girl. I like to give you something to do so you can take action. Action is at the heart of all confidence and all success when you're a solopreneur. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Welcome to My Solopreneur Life. I'm Terry Pappy, your gracious host, and I am so glad you're here. I have a wonderful episode for you. Sit back, relax, and let's have some real talk about what it is to be a solopreneur. So have you ever had a sales conversation, you being the customer? You have tons of questions, or you don't really know how to work with this person. You just know that they have a good offer. You're interested, they make a good pitch, or at least in their marketing they did, and you want to move forward, but you still have some questions in your mind, which makes you uncertain as a customer prospect. So what I want to do in this conversation with you is to point out 3 areas that will really help you reduce the friction, meaning the steps that your prospect has to go through, how educated or informed they are coming into the conversation with you, because all of those things can do damage to any type of successful sales conversation. You want every chance you can get to close someone if you're actually doing the proper information building up front. That's what we're going to talk about today. When you reduce friction, you make it that much easier for a prospect to say yes. And that's what we're looking for. We look at the sales conversation. There's obviously a lot of fit conversation, meaning we're talking about, are you right for me? Am I right for you? You want to make sure that that prospect will be successful and you'll be successful in solving their problem, whatever it is that you're doing. The things that happen leading up to that conversation can be a variety. They can be a total cold lead. They might have downloaded something of yours and said, I really like this person. I want to, oh, look, free consult. I can go and talk to them. And that's like why I have on my site, my calendar. Just grab time. And this is a very common practice. A lot of people expect you to have an easy way to book an appointment for a free estimate or have a conversation that's a little more qualitative so you can really determine if it is a good fit and if it's going to work for everybody. Plus, they want to know questions like, how long does it take? And what do I need to do? And how much is it going to cost? And what do I get on the back end? And everything. So reducing the amount of friction, meaning let's reduce the amount of questions they have that are outside of what would normally happen in that sales conversation. When you do that, you're in essence preparing them to say yes or preparing them to say no. If you do this right, if you give them enough information before they even click that calendar and book time to talk to you about what their problem is, they can decide, oh, this probably won't be for me, or, oh, this person only deals with these types of customers. So they move on. And nobody's time is wasted. It can work both ways. It can help filter out bad fits or just people that aren't quite ready. And it can attract and bring in through the filter good prospects for you. So that way you're able to really focus in on that conversation. Let's get started with the first one. Now, this one I've touched on in a couple of episodes already, but I'll repeat myself because it is so important. Streamline the booking process on your website. Make it easy from your LinkedIn profile or wherever you're initially attracting people who are ready to take the next step, meaning talk to you. So on all your social profiles, make sure that they have an easy one-click method to book a call with you and have that conversation. Now, when they book a call, you can also, depending on what work you do, you can make part of the booking maybe a little autoresponder. So if someone books time with you, you could send 1 or 2 emails, very friendly. Oh, thank you so much for booking time with me. Really looking forward to talking with you. To make our call super successful, here are 1, 2, 3 things that you can do to learn more about me or be prepared to answer certain types of questions. When you look at your touch points in that customer journey, they're having an experience of who you are well before you get on the phone or on a Zoom call with them or meet them in person. Because our ability to spread our brand far and wide is incredibly broad nowadays because we've got the social, we've got YouTube videos. There's so many different ways people can Google us. Have you checked your Google? What comes up? Is it old stuff? Does it forward your agenda as far as what you're doing today and about your business and what you're trying to grow? Take a look at your website and see if it's easy to book time so you can get in front of prospects. That's super, super important. The prompt for this one is it obvious and easy to book time on your website or through your social media? And make sure that you're managing the expectations. So when they get to that calendar, say, this call is for this. Like on mine, I have fields where I say, what's your website? What's your LinkedIn profile? And what do you want to accomplish on this call? And so what that does is that helps me do a little pre-screening. So it's not a bot that comes in. And in fact, I don't really get a lot of those anymore. I think it's just the way I have it set up, which is great because it's not wasting my time. Every now and again, I'll get somebody who wants to sell me something like janitorial services. I work from home, people. Come on. So I just delete those and cancel the appointment and such, but they don't really happen too much anymore because it's so clear what the purpose of that call is for. Go to your website, go to all your social media. Is it easy for people to understand what the purpose of the call is, what they're in for? And if you want to put a little automation that helps them learn a little bit more about you, that's kind of a nice thing too. It's like a little customer service thing. And you can set it up where it goes out immediately. Let's say they book one that's like a day or two away as far as time. And you can control that on your calendar settings. Well, you want to give them enough time to actually get these emails and look at them, right? That'll be really helpful. The prompt is just go and see how easy or hard is it for them to connect with you. I tell you what, I go to some websites and they have a contact form that's like a generic boilerplate, something you'd get off a GoDaddy template. And it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't really tell them anything. And I have filled out so many of these contact forms for, because I'm curious or I want to work with somebody. And I don't even get a response back on half of them. It's terrible. I don't understand why some people aren't paying a little bit more attention to some of these easy to deal with things. That would be the first one. The second one is you have to make sure that you clearly define and explain what you do and who you do it for, as well as the results you can deliver. Now, obviously, we can't guarantee things like, I can guarantee you that you'll double your income or whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Because everybody's going to be unique, especially when you're doing consulting work and that type of work. It's very qualitative, the kind of results, but you can get pretty darn close to describing how you work, what typically clients are accomplishing as a result of working with you. The second one is making sure that they have a good grasp on your specialty, your niche, the things that you focus on, and you can pepper in a little bit of how you work. Like I work very different from most people who do what I do. I have 3 products and they're built on the productization model. One feeds into the next, and it works beautifully. Well, a lot of people think when they come and talk to someone like myself, they think, oh, it's an hourly rate. Or, oh, you have to put a big proposal together and then I have to react to that. And it just drags it out. So that doesn't do anybody any good. It's all about really explaining as much as possible on your website in an FAQ section, most commonly asked questions by customers and prospects. Put that out there because there's so much research that people do, especially if they're buying something that's more of an investment. It's several $1,000s or 5 figures, right? You want to make sure that they feel comfortable not only knowing how you work and the results you bring, but what are all the little details, like how often do I get billed, or can I use my credit card, or whatever the situation is that would dictate any question that you would normally get asked. And the way you generate that is you think about all your past conversations. You think about, oh, I get asked this question a lot. When you're reducing the friction in a business transaction, you're removing all the guesswork. And what that does is not only does it present you as a professional, hello, we want to be presented as professional because there are so many people that are not, that can deliver a good service, but the way they present themselves, or they're very disorganized, their brand is all over the place. They've hired so many subcontractors to do little marketing things for them that there's no consistency. It's a mess out there. So it is so easy to come across as professional, clean, sophisticated, simple, authentically you with that personal brand. And when you're doing all that, it makes that person get to know you before they ever talk to you. And that is the goal today, especially in the world of AI, where everything is fake, 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 and way overdone, over the top to get eyeballs and longer scrolls and all the, oh joy, what we have to put up with in today's digital world is crazy. It drives me nuts just trying to stay on top of it. And that's why I always revert to what is the tried and true professional way to communicate, to build relationships, to really get out there and help people and guide people and solve a lot of their problems and make some money while you're doing it. So that second step is all about being really clear about how you work, what you do, what problems you solve, who you solve it for. The first one is all about making that contact. Make it easy for people to get a hold of you and be responsive. The second one is explain how you work, all the things you do. Have videos, have an FAQ section, whatever you need to do. If you're ever looking for things to put on YouTube or to create a short or a reel or whatever, throw some things in there. Start explaining. Use case studies. There's a lot of different mechanisms that you can do. I'll be covering that in future episodes when I talk more about messaging, communications, branding, and all those things. The prompt for number 2 is, and you can try this out on your friends who don't really know. They know you personally, but they don't really know the work you do, or some stranger, or some neighbor, or whatever, whoever you can find. You can even just grab somebody off LinkedIn and say, hey, would you do me a favor? If you go to my website, could you clearly tell what I can do, who I do it for, how I work, and all the appropriate questions? There's that level of education and kind of like uploading of information so they don't go through all that when you have that conversation with them that should be only about learning what they need, trying to determine fit, determining budget, and getting to a decision, whether that's a yes or a no. That is the goal of the sales conversation. So if all this other stuff is handled through your website or your social media or a little automation, you don't even have to worry about any of that stuff because you're not going to get it. Now, there's always going to be the exception of these people that no matter what you send them, they're never going to read it. They're never going to look at your website. They're never going to go to your YouTube channel. And so hopefully they're the exception. But your goal is really to help reduce that friction. Even if you do get one of those folks that don't take the time to upskill their brain on what you do, you can always send them to the website after the call. So do the sales call and say, listen, I know you had a lot of questions about this, that, and the other. I'm happy to answer them live, but there's so much on my website that if you don't mind, and get permission, say, is that all right if, I just send you a couple links specific to some of the questions that you asked? And they'll be like, yeah, I could do that. You just kind of have to feel the prospect out, what they're amenable to. But if you're giving them the opportunity to kind of get that information up front, that's a win-win for everybody. So that's number 2. Now, number 3 is all about having a sales conversation plan. So if you remember in Darlene's episode, we talked about having a process, having talking points, this, that, and the other. And that's really designed to kind of give you a sandbox to operate in, as well as make you feel a little bit more confident that you're not jumping all over the place and missing asking about budget, for example, or a timeline, or who else is involved in the decision making. The process for the sales conversation is important, but this is more about having a plan. If you develop your own custom plan that's about being present, being an active listener, being authentically you, asking probing questions, and you can just focus on that. So that way you both can reach a level of understanding, of trust, of clarity, and then you're much more able to freely move into a decision, yes, no, or maybe later, than you would be if you were piled up with all these other conversations and questions. If your plan is something that is reminding you, ask questions, make sure that you're being yourself, give them time to respond, active listen, and develop a plan that works for you. The plan and the process can kind of overlap a little bit, or you can incorporate them together. But the goal is to not come off robotic, not come off like you're reading a script, not come off with commission breath, as Eric Schulman said in a prior episode, which are all really important things you want to avoid doing because you want to be real. You want to be yourself. You want that person on the other end of the conversation to feel that not only have you got a good grasp on what their problem is, but that you're able to clearly tell them with certainty that you can fix it or you can refer them to someone who would be a better fit, which is also a very important part of your sales conversation. For the third step, it's really about clearing the field so you can focus on very, very important aspects of that conversation that's going to lead you to a decision. Remember, it's not get to a yes or close the deal. It's get to a decision. That's a great distinction that worked really good for me once I kind of like went, oh, yeah, that's going to work really good. And so that is just, the plain and simple. And you may be like, those are 3 simple things. Yeah, I've got enough. But what I invite you to do is to do the prompts on the first 2 and get the response, because sometimes we're too close to our own stuff. We don't really see the gaps or where there might be some confusion. Make sure you're getting help from a friend or someone through LinkedIn or whatever your network is that doesn't really know you, that can do some user testing on your site. Now, for the third one, having that plan, what I'd like for you to do is to come up with a very authentically you conversation plan. So you go in knowing exactly which levers you need to hit versus, well, this is how I work. And this is, now you'll get those questions occasionally, but you want to try to get those addressed way before you get into the actual sales conversation. And I mean, we're all used to researching anything we would buy or invest in online first. That's just like how we all operate. We just go into either an AI tool, ChatGPT, how do I do this? Or, we go on Google, and Google's got Gemini now built right into the browser. Just go in and ask the question. It tells you the answer. But what you want to do is make sure that whatever that answer is something that's going to help them in the sales conversation. So my prompt for the third one is to define a plan that guides that client step by step through that conversation the way you want to do it, the way that genuinely expresses who you are. And so you get enough information where you can determine whether or not this is a fit. So there you go. So there's 3 things you can do to kind of grease the wheels, if you know what I mean. So when that prospect gets on the call, it's like, they're like, okay, where do I sign? They're like, believe me, I've had a couple of those. They're like, okay, I'm ready to go. Where do we start? And it's because I've prepared them before they even get to the call. And that's, a lot of them are totally cold leads that have been referred to me. So Let's see how that works for you. And if you want, I'm more than happy to test all three areas with you, either in a role play, as far as the third one with the sales conversation. And I'm also more than happy to look at your website for any of the, especially number 2, where you're putting out a lot of information about what you do, to address any questions that might come up in a sales conversation. So just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to do it. Have a great one, and thanks for listening. Well, I know you're disappointed, but that's it for this episode. Listen, the great news is there's another one coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, I just want to make sure that you do the prompt. If this episode had a prompt, and you get that homework done because you're going to be a better solopreneur. How's that for a maternal finger shaking at you? Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here, for giving me time of your day, and, for taking it on. So if you want to learn more and stay connected with me, just head on over to mysolopreneurlife.com. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. That was pretty good. I think I'll keep that one.